Hi everyone. Today we will be talking about this problem rally. This is from POI 2014 round 2. In the problem, we are given a directed graph, specifically a directed acyclic graph, and we have to minimize the maximum length path by deleting at most one node. So for example, in the sample data that is given, the longest path here is 1, 3, 4, 5. Now what we can do is delete, let's say, node 1, then the longest path will be just 3, 4, 5, so the length is 2. This is the minimum possible length that we can achieve. If we, for example, delete node 3, then also 1 to 4 to 5. So how do we approach this problem? Well, let's say we are given this graph, and this is, let's say, the longest path, and we have some other nodes here and so on and so forth. So the first observation that we can make kind of in this problem is that the best possible answer is to delete something on the longest path. So for example, if I delete this, it doesn't really shorten our longest path. The longest path still remains as it is. Now what we could do is delete something like this, and then hopefully our longest path will get minimized. So for example, here this is the longest path. If we had deleted something like this node, then our longest path would have been like this. So in this case, for the green line, the length of the path is not getting reduced. But if we had deleted this purple node, our longest path was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is in fact shorter than the original longest path. But how do we effectively calculate what is the path length that we get after deleting one of these nodes? Well, whenever we see directed acyclic graphs in a problem, the first thing that we should kind of think about is topological sorting. For example, in this graph, the graph is already topologically sorted. I mean, in the sense that we know that all the edges are going from left to right. So in topo sorting, our constraint is that every edge E will go from U to V, where we assign two labels to U and V, and the criteria that, let's say, label of U is always less than label of V. So this label thing is basically the topological ordering. Once we do a topological sort, what happens is we now have our graph in the form of a line, and then all these edges go from one of these nodes. We start at some node and then we always go to the right. Now let's try to trace the longest path in this array kind of thing that we have got right from the topological sort. So the longest path will be something like, it will go over one of these and then maybe over this and then over this path, and maybe there was an edge here, so it will have gone over here. So something like this, in the sense that we are essentially traversing some edges and skipping some things in between. So let's say the longest path was touching over some of the points. Now notice that in this case I have explicitly kind of showed that the longest path started from the first node and ended at the last node. But this is not necessarily true, because for a topological sort, if multiple nodes have 0 in degree and some out degree, we can kind of arrange them in any order that we want. It's not really fixed. So essentially the longest path could have maybe started from here, or from here, but we don't know which one of them will be the first node in our topological ordering. So essentially it starts from somewhere and then makes some jumps, hops over some nodes and ends at some other position. Now the main observation here is that if you delete one of these nodes, when you are deleting some node, you are effectively deleting one of these nodes, right? the longest path can no longer use this node and then jump on. It will have to bypass this node somehow. So remember that the longest path can hop over some things. So effectively, we are forcing the longest path to hop over this node. It cannot use it as a junction, so it might go something like there, here, and then it will need to jump over it and then go towards the right. So what is something that we can fix in this solution, that we can iterate on? Well, we know that once we fix this node, the longest path will either be entirely present in the left half or entirely maybe present in the right half or making a jump like this. Now if we know that it is making a jump like this, we know that which all edges go from somewhere to the left of this node. So maybe it starts from, let's say, here, and then it makes a jump and somewhere to the right. If we can get hold of all of these edges, we know that the jumping will take place along one of them. So maybe it will jump over this particular edge, or maybe it will jump over this particular edge, or maybe this particular edge. Now let's say we can magically know if it uses a particular edge to jump, what is our final result. So let's say we can answer that for a deleted node V, let's say we iterate over all edges E that pass, and I'll put this in quote, over V. So what does passing over mean? It means that one of the endpoints lies towards the left of V in the topological ordering, and the other endpoint lies towards the right of V in the topological ordering. So if we iterate over all the edges that pass over V, and let's assume we can answer for that particular edge E what is the longest path that uses it. Now this is our main subproblem here that we want to answer. Turns out that it is not at all hard to do. What we essentially have is a sequence of nodes, and we want to know that if we use this edge, what is the longest path that we can get. Again, we just use the properties of topological ordering that every edge goes from left to right. We know that for the longest path, since we are, let's say, currently standing here, if we know the longest path from this node all the way to the right to somewhere, I don't know at which node the longest path will end, but if we know the longest path starting from here, we can definitely say that our path will travel along this route. Similarly, if we know that what is the longest path that is ending at this particular node, so let's say somewhere like this, then we can also definitely say that if the longest path were to traverse using this edge, then that means before traversing this edge, it would have used this path, and then after traversing this edge, it would have just used this path. So this is longest path starting at U, or rather let's say starting at V, because this is, let's say, the edge U comma V, and this is longest path ending at U. Now if you can calculate these two values, longest path ending at U for all the U's and longest path starting at V for all the nodes, we can just iterate over all these edges E. We can answer what is the longest path that uses this edge E. Note that again, whenever you use such an edge E, you are effectively skipping over this vertex V. So how do we find these longest paths? Well, it can be done simply using a DP. DP of I, let's say, means longest path from V, rather like starting from V. Then let's say J, rather I should name this not V, I should name this I. And then let's say J are all, then for all neighbors J of I, dpi is equal to max dpi comma dpj plus 1. And similarly we can find the longest path ending at u for all the u's. The trick is that we just use the reverse graph of our original graph, and then it's equivalent to finding the longest path starting from u. So what is our complexity till now? We are going over all v's, so this part is order n, and for all of them we are iterating over all edges e that pass over such a v. So this part, step 2, can be order m, right? Because it might just happen that all the edges go from node 1 to node n. So in that case, for every node v, effectively all the edges are passing over it. So we can be using order m time, and then for every edge we are just doing a constant time lookup, right? Because we have already calculated the longest path. So the longest path starting at some node u and the longest path ending at some node u. Since we have already calculated them, the cost for this, for using this edge e, is effectively, so longest ending at u plus 1, since we are traversing the edge e, plus longest starting at v. So edge e, so e effectively goes from u to v. So this part is just order 1. So how do we optimize this? Because currently the running time is order n into m, right? So what we are essentially doing here, we have this sequence of nodes, we are deleting one of them, and then we know that the longest path will be making some hops like this, and then it will be using some edge to go over this node, and then it will again be making hops like this. So effectively for every node that we delete, we have to find the best edge that we can get here. By the best edge, I mean the one that maximizes the distance. So let's say that max distance, so max distance possible after deleting u is given by md of u. This is what we are trying to do in this step. For that, previously we were iterating over all the edges, but now we want to find something that is faster. For every edge, let's say the edge goes from this node all the way up to here. For how many of these nodes is this edge valid? Well, the first thing is obviously it is valid for a contiguous range of nodes. The second thing is it's valid for, let's say, from x to y. Then we say that the edge E is valid from x to y, and it has a value v, or rather let's say val. So what is effectively that we are doing for when we delete a node u? So when we delete u, and let's say the topological index of u is tu, what we want is for every such range x comma y such that x less than equal to tu, or rather x less than tu less than y, find max val. This directly corresponds to this, correct? The val is the maximum distance, or rather the maximum length of the longest path that can be achieved when the longest path goes over this bypassing edge, and we have effectively represented it as a range with an associated value. So our problem effectively reduces to solving this portion. One possible method is keep an array, and then for every position between x and y, so let's say for every I such that x less than I less than y, it becomes max of val comma ai. This query you can support using a lazy segment tree. So for every edge you have this range where you make this max value, and then when you get a query tu, you just look at the tuth index and find what is the max value. So this corresponds to this, which again is what we are looking for, right? Maximum distance of u. However, this TL is, if you actually try to implement it, well, another way that you can try to solve it is using an offline sweep. So what is an offline sweep? You treat these first indexes as events. So let's say you have a bunch of these ranges. So A1, B1, A3, B3. Now we process these TUs in sorted order as well. I mean, that is just going over nodes in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, and when I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean the topological order, not the label of the node. So when I am, let's say, at a certain node U, I have processed all the AIs where AI is less than U, let's say A1 and A2. And now I have another segment tree where for every range that I process, A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3, so let's say I have processed A2, then at the index B2, so this is index B2, I make it max. Let's say the segment tree array was x, so max x B2 comma val. So how does this help us? We have to ensure that the ranges that we have processed, for them the bi values are greater than u. I am using my segment tree to do just that. How? Well, when I query for a particular u, I just look at everything that is to the right of u, so from u plus 1 to the end, and then I take a range max from u plus 1 to the end. In this way, I only take the max over all the ranges which I have already processed. That means AI values are less than u and whose right indexes, that is bi, is greater than u. And this again effectively solves our problem. However, what is the difference between this method and this method? I mean, in both the cases we were using segment trees. Well, this is just point update and range query. Whereas here we were making range updates and point queries, which needed the use of lazy. So whenever we use lazy, we usually have a high constant factor involved. When we use a normal segment tree, the constant factor is lesser, and this actually passes. So let's just quickly go over the code. So first I take the input graph, G is the original graph, RG is the reversed graph, because remember that when we are trying to find the longest path ending at a certain node U, we are effectively just finding the longest path starting at U in the reversed graph. In the DFS function, I do a topological sorting, and our topo ID is kind of the reverse map and topo ID is kind of the forward map. So topo ID of node gives us the topological index, whereas if we want to find at that index what is the label of the node, that is given by RID of that particular index. So after we figure out the topological ordering, we figure out what is the longest path starting from each node I. Notice that for the first one, this is actually the normal graph, and that is why we have used a longest of I. The second one is actually longest path ending at I. I have named it as R longest, which stands for effectively reverse longest. So everywhere that I have used this prefix R, I just mean reverse of that variable. Second, I have also taken a prefix min and prefix max for both of the arrays. And then these are my ranges. So for every edge E, as long as the distance between their topological IDs is greater than equal to 2, right? Because we don't really want an edge that something like this, because there is nothing in between for which this edge is the overhead pass. I mean, this edge is not helping us to skip any over any node. So I have an array of ranges for every index. That is effectively the starting point. That means that when I am at a particular index, I know which all ranges must be processed at this index. And then we also have where I'm going to place it in the segment tree and what is the value that I'm going to insert. And then we just iterate over all the nodes, find the best overhead pass, and then take a max over the prefix and suffix sums, because I mean it might happen that even after we delete a particular node v, the longest path maybe does not use that particular node v at all. It lies entirely towards the right or entirely towards the left. So these two if conditions handle those cases, and then if it is better, then we just update our answer, and then we process the ranges that were to be processed at this node. Remember that why we are doing this at the end, because the inequality was less than. If we had done the processing before finding the answer for deletion of a particular node u, the inequality corresponding to it would have actually been less than equal to, because for every ai such that ai equal to u, we would have already processed those before finding our answer for u. And that is it. I have used a standard segment tree code here, point update range query max segment tree. So that's it for today.